So before we begin this video, I just want to say that I can't believe we passed 100 subscribers. That means more than 100 of you like to listen to me talk about bologna sandwiches and just trying to be nostalgic for my own sake and for to see who else. Oh, I had that console too. That's pretty cool to see somebody else talking about the console that I had as well. So thank you all for supporting me in this journey and just helping me fuel my passion to have a sort of creative hobby and an outlet in a way. So, we're going to talk about the best console of all time, and that is a undisputed fact, and if you disagree with me, then so be it. I don't care. I don't know. It's just my favorite console of all time. We're talking about the PlayStation 2, and in this case, the slim version that we have had for forever. So, let's roll the intro. Boop. Did you see that? I pressed the power button and then I made the intro. Look at me, I'm so creative. So we're going to be talking about the PS2 in general, but it's going to be mainly more about this version, the PS2 Slim, that I have. So a little bit of context. We had the PS2 before we got the Wii, but I was never allowed to play the PS2. So since it was a console for older kids and adults, my brother and I were stuck on the Wii, DS, Game Boy Advance, those Nintendo consoles. So when we got the Wii around 2008, we had the PS2, but we were not allowed to play it. Only those, again, Nintendo consoles that we had. When I got older and was finally allowed to play the PS2, oh yeah, it was a whole new world of possibilities for me. And I just felt like I just got an amazing chance to play awesome games dropped right into the palms of my hands. So this console right here, during the time we had a Wii, and even after we had gotten the PS3, I would still go back to the PS2. The Wii, I mentioned earlier, would be considered my gateway into video games. It was my gateway drug. The Wii was definitely the... But as I got older and was allowed to play the PS2, I began to choose the PlayStation over the Wii. I would like to say it was around 2011 or 12, when I was about 10 or 11, that was really, I only started playing the PlayStation over the Wii. I would choose the PS2, and my brother would choose the Wii. And that was sort of like the split between us, where he would be more into Nintendo, and I would be more into PlayStation. But we would still play the consoles together, but if I was playing by myself, it would be PlayStation. If he was playing by himself, it would be the Wii. And that's that's a good thing, I view it as, because didn't have to worry about playing somebody else's game or save file. It was two completely different consoles, companies, and games that we were playing. So it kind of worked out. I know a lot of people like to say that, oh, this console was ahead of its time, or this game was ahead of its time. But I think instead I would rather say that the PlayStation 2 was in its time, but it was the lead in its time. The PS2 was a spectacular and powerful console, boasting extremely high performance against other consoles of that era. We're going up against the Microsoft Xbox, the Nintendo GameCube, the Sega Dreamcast. And statistically wise, not only just sales numbers, but also doing a little research and digging, the hardware that the PS2 had to offer was like the top of the line and just was groundbreaking innovation. The PlayStation 2 had a DVD player in it, which will just... okay. It had a DVD player. It was backwards compatible with most PS1 games and had a huge library. So I was looking into it, and this PlayStation It's so crazy to think that we went from obviously megahertz to gigahertz in like speed of RAM or CPU. But this guy was boasting their Emotion Engine CPU at 294 megahertz. I mean, that's nothing compared to nowadays, but back then, that was like light speed. It had its, let's see, I'm looking at my script trying to think what tech gibberish to talk about. It had a 294 megahertz Emotion CPU and 147 megahertz graphics synthesizer GPU. So that basically allowed it to have more advanced graphics and better processing capabilities against those other consoles of its generation. The PS2 also had 32 megabytes of RAM, and they called it their Direct RAM Bus, RDRAM. And it also had 4 megabytes of EDRAM in their graphics synthesizer for their graphics memory. What's cool, and doing this part, it kind of made me realize that Sony really must love proprietary storage. The PS2 had memory cards, which I've got one of them that we have right here. And it can go from this like 8 megabytes up to 128 megabytes. And it makes me think like, yeah, they did that for this. And as far as I know, nobody ever batted an eye. Maybe they did. But when they did it for the Vita, it's like, oh my gosh, Sony's evil. They're making you have to buy proprietary storage. They've been doing it. So I don't know. Who cares? This guy can also put out an output of up to 1920 by 1080i, which is different from 1920 by 1080p. And if you didn't know, basically the 1080i refers to interlaced, while the 1080p refers to progressive scan. And they're just two different display modes. What exactly does that mean though? Yes, that's a great question. Moving on. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to look up what the best-selling games on PS2 were. And from what I found, the top 10 games on PlayStation 2, according to the internet, would be GTA San Andreas, Gran Turismo 3, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, which I understand, Final Fantasy X, God of War, Shadow of the Colossus, Resident Evil 4, Kingdom Hearts, Tekken 5, and Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Those are the 10 games that the internet said. I'm going to show you my 10 games that I say. Not the best, but probably my favorite. So let's get you down here. And we're just going to kind of slap them around, show you what they are. My top 10 games for PS2 would be Ape Escape 3, Lego Star Wars the video game, Lego Star Wars 2 the original trilogy, Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars Battlefront 2. We don't have enough room in the camera, so I'm going to move that over. We've also got Simpsons Hit and Run, Simpsons Road Rage, Ready to Rumble Boxing 2, and my final one, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Those are my 10 games that I would say are my favorite 10 games on PlayStation 2. We've got a larger library in the TV room, but those are my favorite ones right there. You know, you can't play a console without having controllers.
Oh no!
Let me grab you 2 of them to show you. So we've got 2 controllers here. We've had these forever. We have the classic PS2 controller. And then we've got the, oh my gosh, look how cool that is, transparent blue controller. And I remember when my brother and I, we would play some of these games together. We would not argue or fight, but like whoever got there first, like kind of like shotgun in a car, where you call shotgun and get the front seat. it would be like that for this. Whoever got to power on the console first or get to the, like the game room first and play would get the blue controller because it was the cool one. Nobody wanted the boring, bland, non-see-through controller. We wanted the one who could see the inside. Look at that. Look at those. So, I don't know. I still love the idea of the see-through controllers. So, those are those. We've also got this, which this controller, it sucked, okay? It was a terrible controller. It never seemed to want to work. Getting it for you in just a moment. I want to set the camera shot up. I don't feel like going too crazy, but I am going crazy. This controller absolutely was garbage. Never wanted to connect, never wanted to work, and when you did get it to work, it would work for like 2 minutes. We're talking about this like Logitech PlayStation controller. It's cool. It was like, oh look, you can play on the couch, don't have to sit closer to the TV because it's Bluetooth. It didn't want to work. It never worked. Don't know if we just were doing something wrong, but we could never get it to work. So I'm going to put you back there. I'm going to put blue in the front. And I'm going to put the worst ones over there. And that's it. I don't know. There's not really much to talk about other than I like this console. It was my childhood over other platforms, and it's just one of those timeless consoles that still the video games on here seem to hold up today. I would hook it up to my TV right now, but not that I don't have the time, I don't have the capability to. This guy stays over in the family room, TV plugged in, so I'd have to remove everything, and it's just, I don't know, I don't want to mess with my dad's stuff. That's what it is. But anyway, that's it. PlayStation 2, the greatest console of all time, and it's not, not just me saying that. If you look it up, by number wise for the most sold console. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's terrible. What the heck happened? What happened? Oh, there we go. Okay. There you go. Yeah, see? Sony's PlayStation 2, best-selling console, over 155 million. There you go. You can't beat the numbers. I gotta get back to my script now because I don't know what I'm supposed to say because I got a pea brain. Yeah. So let me do a little thingamajig and we'll go from there. All right. I have no other words than I love this console. It stands as a testament to the golden age of gaming. Its innovative technology, huge and diverse game library, and just overall cultural impact solidifies it as one of the greatest consoles of all time. This was many of our childhoods. So I would love to hear from you. Did you have a PS2? Did you grow up as an Xbox gamer instead of a PlayStation gamer? If so, why? And what were some of your favorite or least favorite games and features of the PlayStation? I would really love to hear everybody else's opinions and thoughts on this console that either brought a lot of joy or a lot of anger not being able to finish certain games or get past certain levels in games that were too hard for us. Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. Happy gaming, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.